not on mute. Thank you all for registering for tonight's Network Prospect webinar, Collab with Your Gut, with Lexi Punch. My name's Daniel Adams. I'm the Manager of Economic Development here at City of Prospect. I'd like to give a quick shout out to Emma from our team who's running the tech downstairs this evening. We're thrilled to be hosting another Network Prospect seminar here online, and happy to keep using this free online format. With COVID-19 still an ongoing issue, we're still going to keep going with this format for a little while longer, but we are looking forward to having you back in our building soon. But that will become more clear as time goes on. With that in mind, I would like to remind everyone to visit Prospect in person. Our businesses are open and trading and have pivoted to the new circumstances. It's a really important time for people to shop local and support local jobs. We'll be releasing more information about future webinars through our Network Prospect business newsletter and through our social media channels. So please check out networkprospect.com.au or any of our social media channels by searching Network Prospect. If you're posting during tonight's event, please use hashtag Network Prospect or @Network Prospect, and we'll be reposting all of your stories and photos on our various social media platforms, so LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Our next Network Prospect webinar is scheduled for next month, and it will be exploring branding with branded culture. But tonight we'll be talking about collaborations with two women collaborating as Lexi Punch. Lexi Punch was created by Maria from Dallas and Lexi and Eleanor from Social Punch, an IGTV series sharing their real journey in the social media space. The series takes you on their journey working in the digital world and sharing helpful tips and ideas using social media mindfully and to protect your mental health. Maria is an ambitious and energetic marketing professional. She's passionate about grassroots South Australian businesses. Having worked in the marketing departments for a number of SA brands from a young age, she has seen the power of social media grow and go from strength to strength over time. Before starting Dallas and Lexi, she managed the digital presence for the Adelaide Central Market. It's here she discovered the need for small businesses to have some social media training to be able to adapt to the new circumstances. Prior to that, she worked with other great South Australian operated businesses, some operating nationally, some operating globally, including On The Run and Evo Hair. The aim of Dallas and Lexi is simple. They're trying to show what social media should be about. Maria works with small businesses in the simplest way to take their social media channels to the next level. Eleanor, we've had in the past come and do a presentation for us. She's an experienced social media strategist, passionate about helping businesses get the most out of their social media, building brands, and having been involved in the branding of major fitness, fashion, and beauty companies, she's developed a strong eye for industry trends and skill for creating eye-catching content. She is now using this to grow her own clients' brands. Before Social Punch, Eleanor was involved in a number of social media marketing and branding activities for major companies such as Sportsgirl, Mazzucchelli's, and has worked with Kayla, it seems, and Sweat. I think I've said her last name wrong, which I often do, as they progress from startup to international businesses. Working for these organizations has developed her creative flair and passion for helping brands grow in the digital space. With that, I think I might introduce you both to come and talk about collaboration tonight. So I'm going to move out of the shop, they're going to move in, and please welcome. We're all socially distancing here.
Hi guys, are we live?
You are live.
We're live? Wow. Hi guys, thanks so much for joining us tonight. We're super excited.
This is so exciting.
To have our first Lexi Punch webinar, our first major collaboration.
I think so. And I think our first collaboration with someone outside from ourselves.
Yeah.
Which is fun.
And tonight's topic is all about collaboration. So the theme is Collab with Your Gut.
Which is one of our most popular episodes. We've found people really enjoyed that episode and really liked what we're talking about. And I think now more than ever with what's going on in the world, it's really important to be able to collaborate effectively and do what you're going to do.
Yeah, and collaborate with your gut, which is something that we've both experienced and something that we're really passionate about, educating small businesses and people. So welcome.
Yeah, welcome guys. Can we see the chat room and see who's
yeah, absolutely.
saying hey?
Yeah, we thought it would be a good idea as well if you want to maybe let us know what industry you're in, just so we can kind of base some of the case studies and examples
Yeah, and
around
our
your
ideas.
industry.
Yeah.
And just curious to see where you're from and what you're doing on socials.
It's really interesting. So thank you for giving us such a lovely introduction. I'm not going to, is our screen up? Can you see?
You are, everyone can see you.
Oh, no. I mean like the presentation.
No, this is the chat. So this
Oh, cool.
Hey, chat.
So you have 12 attendees in the chat at the moment. So if everyone wanted to shout out their names and maybe the companies they're from, so everyone gets a feel for who's here.
Cool.
So we'll let that flow, I reckon.
We'll let that and we'll
start going. So obviously Daniel gave you guys a little bit of background as to what we were doing before we started our businesses. So just to give you a bit of a further background, I started Social Punch about a year and a half ago after working in the digital space for about 5 years. So I offer a range of social media services that include social media management, content creation, and Instagram training and workshops. So this is an area that I'm really passionate about, and I really love helping people and businesses learn how to use social media to build their brands. It's such an awesome tool, in particular Instagram. So still navigating my way in
through
this
the
space,
business world.
through the business world. But yeah, this is an area that I really love working in and connecting with small businesses.
It's a lot of fun. Like Eleanor said, working in social media has been great. I've worked in social media since before Instagram was a thing. Like, do you remember being 18 and like there was no such thing as Instagram?
I remember I was working at Sports Girl like in my early 20s, like on the shop floor while I was studying, and that's when Instagram started to evolve. Like I set up the Instagram account for Sports
really
Girl,
cute.
and it just seems like a lifetime ago.
I remember working for On The Run and like Facebook groups were a thing. And I was like, who likes chill slushy? Like, that was my Facebook group. But yeah, as Eleanor said, I've been in the industry for quite a few years as well and have worked across a lot of small businesses. I'm really excited to be doing this for Network Prospect. I spent a lot of my childhood in Prospect, so it's really nice to be able to come back and be around Prospect people and businesses. Should we just kick off and get straight into it?
Let's get straight into it. So we together, Alexi Punch. So
we created I guess we could call it a movement. It started as an IGTV series, and I guess from what we've seen, it's going to become a little bit more, but we'll keep that under wraps.
Yeah.
Right now. We'll get to that.
We'll get into that a little bit later, but we'll start off with what we're actually covering today. So obviously, like we said, tonight's workshop is about collaborations, in particular on Instagram. So we're going to cover topics around why you should collaborate. Like Dallas said, it's really important in this particular time to connect with other businesses and, connect and collaborate and work towards a common goal.
It's also really important to look at who you're going to collaborate with, something that we've touched on in our videos.
So important.
It's so important to make sure that you're fostering collaborations with the right sort of business for your business. Just because everyone else is collaborating or doing something with a certain business or certain industry doesn't mean you have to. And I think, again, that's really important right now, unless like you brought out a hand sanitizer. We should have done that.
I know. Maybe. Oh no.
Next time.
We've missed the boat.
We've
missed the boat.
Really
We've got too many things going on.
And then I guess what everyone wants to know is how. Like, how do you collaborate properly and effectively and use your gut and make sure that it's a collaboration worth your while and something that is going to benefit your business. So we're going to go through setting goals, doing research, how to build that relationship. I feel like that's something that people struggle with.
100%. Like you need to set the foundations and really nurture that relationship before you do a collaboration with someone, because you need to get to know that person. You need to really build that relationship, not only on Instagram, but actually outside of social media as well, to make sure that they're the right person for your collab. They align with your business.
And there are so many important things to look out for. And I think that's one thing we've seen in our short time in business, I guess in our long-term careers, is it's okay to say no, and looking 100%. At what, those red flags that I should have brought a red flag with me. Those red flags that you need to look out for. We'll also talk through how to hype the collaboration. I think that's a big part. It's really fun.
How to hype and some content ideas. I think that's the most exciting part. Like once you've actually established the person you're going to collab with, what can you actually do to get your audience excited and present something really fun and fresh to your audience.
And ideas for collaboration. So we've got a few ideas. That's why we want to know, I guess, what industries everyone's in, so we can maybe tailor those ideas to you, because there's some really cute, fun ones in there, and I think we could further.
Super fun.
Yeah, super fun. So.
Okay, so why should you collaborate?
Well, the first thing is connecting with a business to work towards a common goal. I think that's really important.
Yeah.
There's no point in doing a collaboration if your goalposts aren't aligned to one another.
Yeah, and I think it's nice if you have an idea in mind to actually connect with someone else to bring that idea to life.
Sometimes in like being a small business owner, which is something I've seen myself, is you've got a lot on, right? Like there's a lot going on, and you might have these really great ideas, but it's just tricky to do it on your own, and it's nice to have that support and connect with someone.
Yeah, exactly, because when you're connecting with someone, you'll be able to bounce ideas with that person as well, and you might, you know, when you're a business owner, it's just you don't have, unless you have a team, if you're just on your own, you know,
like us,
you can get really up in your head and overthink a lot of things, and you might not see opportunities as clearly as other people. So it's nice to connect,
absolutely,
and collaborate.
It's also good for your audience, especially on Instagram and across social media. It's something different, you know, new exciting content. That's a whole nother ball game, which we'll talk about. That could even become like a goal for one of your collaborations, like, you know, that these really cool makeup artists and stylists and hairdressers like coming together to create amazing content. Like that's a collaboration if you want to, you know, define it that way. I think it's also another reason to collaborate is tapping in and connecting to an already engaged new audience.
Yeah, 100%, because that way your content will be seen by a whole new audience that potentially didn't even know who you were or what your business was about.
And they kind of already know they're already engaged, because if you're collaborating right and you're working with the right brand, their target audience should also be your target audience, so it makes sense. So they'll be interested in what you have to say. There's no point in collaborating with someone that has a completely different target audience, because
it makes no sense. You need to connect. Connecting with people in your industry, and that's why it's so important to set that foundation and groundwork. So you go through all those steps and make sure it is the right person, and do your research, which we'll get into those steps a little bit further.
I've got a bit coming up. And I guess then extend and strengthen your brand reach. I'm a bit passionate about brand. It's one of my favourite things.
It's so important though.
It is so important.
It's so
and
important.
I think being able to extend that brand reach to a whole demographic of people, and then also being able to strengthen it. So there's that safety in numbers. So being able to work with someone like, who was saying it, like someone had a like really dodgy gym. It was really dodgy. And they were like to me, yeah, like we just give out vouchers so people can get a discount at like Adidas. And I was like, that's not cool. But by association, that gym just becomes so much like their brand is strengthened, and it makes them come across as that they've got their shit together. They don't, so I'm not going to mention names of who it is. But, you know, that's what I mean by strengthening the brand. Like you work with someone else to make what you do appear stronger and
to strengthen your brand.
Strengthen who you are.
Okay.
So why did we collaborate?
Well, let's start from the beginning, shall we?
I called you one day and I was like, I'm so bored.
So we actually met at Little Loves Beauty at a nail salon.
We did.
And then we connected a few months later. Dallas was working at a co-working space in the city, and she invited me to check it out. And that's how we kind of formed our relationship and friendship.
I remember speaking to Eleanor about like business, and I was like, telling her all these issues that I have, and it was just like this massive weight was lifted off my shoulders, because like we said, like being a small business owner, it can be quite isolating.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know who to speak to, you don't know who to turn to or ask,
or who to connect with,
advice. So we kind of connected through that, and I think during COVID, you know, we were spending a lot of time in the office. Everyone kind of cleared out except for us. So we were keeping
socially distant.
But yeah, we had, you know, we were brainstorming ideas as to what we could do together and help not only our clients, but also
our business owners.
Yeah, our community, because mental health and social media is something that we're really passionate about, teaching business owners and people to use the platform mindfully, and learn how to create healthy habits so you don't end up, feeling or going crazy
overwhelmed
on the platform.
I think it was really something that was very close to both of us, because we had been in business for under a year. But it's very easy to burn out when you're on social media all day. And like a lot of my friends don't run their own businesses, they don't run business social media accounts. So if they're over social media, or if they're feeling overwhelmed, they can just delete the app, or they can just log out for a week. But for a small business owner, that's your advertising, that's your bread and butter. Like, that's how most small business owners build their connections. So I think for us, it was something that we really had to address. And we thought we'd come together and talk about it. There was a bit of a gap in that discussion as well. I think social media and mental health was mainly directed to a younger demographic.
No one was really talking about business owners using social media mindfully, or helping them in that space. So between both of our clients, we noticed
it was a reoccurring discussion.
There was a trend with what business owners were thinking or feeling, and we thought it would be a really good idea to address some of those issues and share some stuff that have helped us, because we've implemented healthy habits working in social media. Like Dallas said, you can't just log out like a lot of people can. So we've implemented habits to help us in our routines, and help us have that
kept us accountable to each other as well.
Exactly. So that's kind of how Lexi Punch evolved. It is a video series. So if you go on Dallas and Lexi or Social Punch, you'll see that we have an IGTV series, and we had our last episode last night.
So we've been preparing for a new batch of filming, which is really exciting. And we've got a few other things up our sleeve.
A few things in the works. So something we'd also love to hear from you guys, if there's a particular topic that you would like discussed, or you would like a bit more information about. It can be anything to do with social media and business, something that's going to help you use the app mindfully, but also help you market your business on social.
And I guess where you want to see us, like, is an IGTV series the place you want to see us? Do you want to see us doing more webinars? Like, let us know, because it's really nice to have a deeper understanding.
Cool. So
you went backwards. Oh, did I? Did you? No, you didn't. I lied. Sorry.
No, that's right. Because we've touched on this. So we touched on this a little bit earlier, but we're going to go in a bit more depth now as to who to actually do your collaboration with. So like we said before, you want to collaborate with a business or a person that has the same target market as you. So you're talking to a similar audience.
It makes a big difference. I think this comes from a real marketing perspective, that if you're collaborating with a business that's got a very similar target market as your own, then you've got a warm lead. You've got someone that's instantly interested in what you have to do or what you're talking about, because that's I think, for me personally, I think that's the best way to do it, especially if you are wanting to extend your audience reach. I think if that's your objective, if it's to grow your audience or grow your brand awareness, I think having a similar target market is super important.
100%.
Another person or business to collaborate with is someone that exists in the same local area as you. I think there's a real...
that's a good one.
Really important to be able to collaborate with people in your local area. And in this regard, you might not have the same exact target market, but if you're going to pick up a pastry and a coffee, why not pick it up from the same place? So that's a nice collaboration there.
Building that local community as well.
And now more than ever, I think it's really important to stay local. People are supporting local, and they want to... it's nice to support businesses in your local area. I guess, people in Melbourne at the moment can't really get out of their local area. So why not work with those people that are around you? And the third thing is a business that complements your product or service. So
this is really important, especially if you're working with someone to represent a product or service. You want to be proud to be working with that person. So you want someone who you know, is authentic and has an, you know, authentic following as well, someone that actually likes your product and service and uses it on a regular basis.
I think with that as well, it's good to look at a business that, you know, potentially if you're offering something and they're offering something that complements that, it's, you know, like if you've got someone that does facials but also does waxing, you know, you can work together because a facialist is obviously, you know, necessary to have nice skin, and then if you need a waxed face, like it's there, like
the
it's the
audiences
same.
would be interested
in both things. But I think the most important thing, and what we're going to harp on
brand values,
guys, that's a big
if you follow us already, you'd probably be familiar with us talking about, you know, values, because it is so important. You need to collaborate with people and businesses that align with your values. You need to be on the same, you know, wavelength
Literally.
and path, and have the same end goal in mind. So we've outlined 4 points that are really important to keep in mind. The first one being align with a business that has the same mindset or similar mindset, business mindset to you. So
like us.
Yes, like us.
So we always have a joke that when we get together to do work, like a 10-minute task takes us like
nothing gets done.
4 hours because we're too busy.
That's Dallas's fault because she talks too much. So you obviously want to collaborate with someone who has the same or similar business mindset. So you're working towards the same goal and you're both just as motivated as each other. There's no point in collaborating with someone who, you know,
I think in a business sense, like you've got to work with someone that's driven and they want the same outcome as you. Like we're joking now that we don't get anything done.
Just jokes.
It's just jokes, but we both know what we want. We both got like clearly defined goals.
Yeah.
And, you know, we both keep each other accountable to what we need to achieve in Lexi Punch and what we need to achieve in our own businesses. So I think it's really important to have that business mindset. Like you don't want to collaborate with someone that's super lazy and they're like, yeah, sure, do what you want.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't work out for you. That can be very stressful.
Oh yeah, 100%. Very stressful. And secondly, go with your gut feel.
Yes.
So when you start conversations with this person or business and you interact with them, you'll feel it in your gut, won't you? Like you'll get a sense of whether it's the right decision to collaborate with them. I feel like like when I've connected with certain people and businesses, and when, you know, Dallas and I first connected, it's exciting. Like, there's something exciting coming, and there's some really cool things that you can work on together to benefit both businesses.
And I think with that as well, like you've got to go with your gut in a lot of instances when it comes to business. Like that's one thing we
100%.
always say to each other, like, what does your gut tell you? And, you know, we've all made some decisions where your gut's like screaming at you and telling you,
telling
like,
you no.
You're literally telling you get out, but you still do it because you're like, no, listen to your gut. Like, it's absolutely paramount. I think
it'll save you the headache.
The third thing that talks to those aligning values is the message you're both sharing. So, you know, you've got to make sure that the message that's coming out from both of your brands is very similar, or it complements one another. Like I know Eleanor and I are really fanatical about, you know, really high quality content and really, really strong brand messaging, really, really good, concise content. Like you won't see us write essays. Like it's not, we've got a very similar style, and as brands, even though we're totally different, there are a lot of things in that messaging side of it that are very similar.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that your business has to be, you know, exactly the same. I think there's a difference between that and values. Just, you know, the message that you're sharing, making sure that your values are aligned, which then brings us to brand mission. So making sure, I guess, you're working towards the same goal, and you know the path that your business is heading in. Okay, so we actually created a few case studies that we thought we'd share. So I'll kick off with this one, which was a recent collaboration with Hide and Seek Salon and Little Loves Beauty.
Two of our favourite.
Yeah, two of our favourites. And I've been lucky enough to work with both Helen from Hide and Seek and Rosanna from Little Loves. So for those of you who don't know, Hide and Seek Salon is a hair salon located in Prospect, and Little Loves Beauty is a beauty salon, and Rosanna specialises in nail art, manis and pedis, and spray tans. So the girls recently collaborated, and it was really, excuse me, nice to see because their brand values are in the same direction, and they really built and nurtured their relationship on Instagram, don't you think, before they collaborated?
Absolutely.
They really took the time to get to know each other, not only on the platform, but also in their spaces. So, you know, Rosanna went to Helen at Hide and Seek to get her hair done, and vice versa. So they got to know each other really well.
I think it's also a real testament to both the brands that they've got a lot of clients that overlap.
Yeah,
like Eleanor and I
crossover.
both go to the Two Girls, and then there's a lot of people that go to Hide and Seek and also go to Little Loves, or have been wanting to go to Little Loves and they go to Hide and Seek, or they go to Hide and Seek and they want to go to Little Loves. And I think the interaction that both brands have with each other, especially on social media, have really cultivated that.
Yeah, it kind of made sense. So in terms of collaboration, what they did was have Rosanna set up a nail bar in Hide and Seek Salon for the day, which was awesome because it meant that Hide and Seek clientele got to, you know, see Rosanna do her thing in the salon, and it was just something fun and exciting for the day. So the girls did a really good job on social in terms of hyping it up. They created a content shoot, which that's just a bit of a sneak peek, where they got a model. Rosanna did the nails, Helen did the hair, and they created a really fun reel to present the collaboration. And they were also really consistent on Instagram stories, you know, throughout the week before the collaboration to really hype it up. And then on the day, they did lots of fun content as well. So it was really mutually beneficial.
Yeah, it was great. I think it was great for both brands. I had so many people who I know that know one or the other. And we're like, oh, I saw like this happening. And it was really nice to see that in real life as well. And I think the girls just did a great job. Yeah. They did a really great job. We went and visited that day. Yeah, it was a real good vibe on the day.
Yeah, so it was really good in the lead up as well, just to create some excitement for their audience on Instagram, to see that something fun was coming, and to, have an opportunity to visit to visit the Hide and Seek Salon.
So I guess here we're going to talk about steps to planning a collaboration. I think that's something that often gets forgotten about. People are just like, yeah, let's collaborate. And they don't really have, I guess, a plan. You know what they say?
Planning is...
No, plan.
I was going to say planning
don't have a plan. When it fail to plan, plan to fail.
I was not thinking of that. But...
You know that like saying? Yeah, no?
Okay, well, cool. In other words, planning is key.
It's very important.
It's so important. So these are our 5 steps to plan your collaboration, and we're going to go into them in a little bit more depth to help you. So first things first, you need to set your goals. That is, you know, your foundation. Collaborations are great, and I think, like you said, people get really excited and just kind of go into it, but you need to have
an objective or a goal, I guess, at the end of the day.
Yeah, both. You need to actually figure out what you want to achieve from the collaboration before you go all the way in and start.
And what's going to quantify successful collaboration. I think that's something that a lot of people often forget. They go into it and they just do something, and at the end of it, if there's no objective set, was it successful? Was it not? Did it work? So the first thing I think is getting that, you know, be very clear on what your objectives are. Like, have a plan in place, have a plan of what you want to achieve at the end of it, because then that will, I guess, fuel if you're going to do something again, or if you're going to continue working together.
That will really kind of help you navigate your way through the whole process. And then define who you're targeting. So this is why it's so important for you to understand who your target audience is, who you're actually talking to, because you're essentially presenting your collaboration to them. You're trying to engage them, you're talking to them, you're bringing in new content for them. So really get clear on who your target audience is.
And then it's what does the post collaboration look like? So I think for me, I'm always looking at like a long-term strategy, and I like to look for things as a, you know, top view, the whole bird's eye view. And I always think, what does the end of the collaboration look like, or what does it look like after all's been said and done? Like, is it a one-off collaboration? Is it an event? Is it an ongoing series like Eleanor and I? is it, okay, we've done one thing, let's do another collaboration, or let's invite someone else in? Or have you created a whole, I guess, strategy around collaborations with various people and seeing what that looks like? I think it's really important to have an idea of what your end game is and what's going to happen at the end of it all, because then you can quantify from looking at your objectives and who that target market was, if it was a success or not, or if you have to reassess it.
Yeah, and depending on your collaboration, you probably don't always need to think too far in advance.
Yeah,
but have a strategy.
Have a strategy in place, because you never know. You never know what's going to happen.
It's good to start small, but still have that strategy in place so you know where you're going and what you actually want to achieve.
And then obviously setting a realistic time frame. So that's something we need to learn.
Yes. If you're an overachiever, I think, and we're guilty of it.
We are so bad at it, guys.
We get really excited and want to try and just get everything done and get it out in the open, especially if we're working on something really exciting. But be realistic, especially if you've got other things going on in your business, and don't be hard on yourself. So much has happened this year.
Yeah, don't.
So, be realistic with your time frame, and I think you need to work with the person that you're collaborating with to make sure that the time frame suits both parties as well.
So something really important is doing your research and making sure that you're collaborating with the right kind of person or the right kind of brand.
Yeah.
Again, collaborating with your gut. Yes, follow your gut, but there are a lot of things that, you're going to do a little bit more digging to figure out if this person or this brand is the right person to collaborate with. One of the first things I like to look at is, what's this industry? Is the industry aligning to yours? There's no point in working for us. We're very authentic to who we are. We're not going to work with, I'm trying to think of an industry that's completely not related to social media.
It needs to be an industry that's aligned with yours, so you're communicating with the right audience and attracting the right people in your business. So it wouldn't make sense for you to collaborate with someone that has absolutely nothing to do with your business, that doesn't align or make sense to your audience.
If it doesn't make sense to your audience, then what's the point, really? What's this business's engagement on social media like, and will it assess your business growth? This is something that I see a lot with when people collaborate with influencers potentially, or with someone with a larger following, and they're like, oh no, but they've got 15,000 followers, and it's that's great, but what's their engagement like? I'd rather collaborate with someone that's got 100 super engaged followers than 100,000 followers that really don't care about what they're saying, what they're doing, because then my brand just gets washed to the side.
Yeah, and that's your brand on the line. If you're working with an influencer or someone representing your brand, that's your brand. So don't focus on the followers. Actually look at how they're engaging with their audience. Look at what conversations they're starting, or what content they're actually putting out
and what they're saying, and if this is going to this is going to assist the growth in your business, and if you can see how that engagement's going to work for you. The other thing I always like to look at is being inspired by their social media content and their strategy.
Yeah, that's
I liked
so
your
important.
content when we
I liked yours too.
I was sussed that out.
She was stalking me
Before
she invited me to the co-working space.
I went so deep.
I love how this comes out now.
So true, sorry.
Yeah, you need to be inspired. You need to be proud and excited to work with that person. So you would want to collaborate with someone that.
And you got to think your content is going to be on their feed eventually.
Yeah.
Or, there's going to be some crossover. So what's the point in having your content smushed in with content that doesn't really float your boat? I see a lot of, guys. And who's their audience? Again, we keep going back to audience. I think we should have literally been collaborate and ensure that your target audience is
but it's just an important reminder.
It's so important, guys,
to understand who their audience is. So obviously get really clear on who your target audience is, but kind of do some research into their audience. Look at the people that are commenting on their posts and interacting with them, because that'll give you an idea of who they're actually talking to.
Oh, this one's fun.
Build the social relationship. So this is so important. And
do you know, sometimes when you're on Instagram and you get those random messages and they're like, hi,
DM
Bikini Girl, DM this random brand for a collab, and you're like, I don't even know you and I'm not wearing a bikini. So you know the ones I'm talking about, they're like thick body.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of you get a lot of these DMs. I think it's really silly because they're just like, I just kind of see it as spam. It's just people that are just sending out spam messages.
And even when they comment on posts, like, you're real pretty, send us a DM to collab. Like, that's great, but I don't really get associated with that's a collab.
No,
so
you want to really build the relationship on Instagram before you even reach out to that person. So this is something that I'm really, passionate about and speak to a lot of my clients about, because they often want to collaborate with different people, and that's awesome. But really build that relationship. So first things first, make sure that you're actually following the business or person on Instagram, because that's like the foundation of building your relationship. Make sure you're following each other. So it actually shows that
you're interested.
You're interested. You want to be a part of their community.
Sometimes I get a bit wrapped up in sending DMs and I completely forget to follow like clients. It's really bad.
No, you need. Yeah,
I need to like do it, because I sit there DMing them and then I see their feed from their story, so I just always access it from the story. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm not following these people. This is terrible. Like, it's really bad form. Anyway, always interact with their content. Like, reply to their posts, Instagram stories, start those conversations. I'm always like a sucker for interacting and asking questions.
Yeah, start real conversations. Kind of, avoid just replying with emojis. Actually listen to what they've said, read their posts, and actually get in on the conversation and, interact with what they're saying and reply to their Instagram stories. It just shows that you're interested in building that relationship and you're interested in the content that they're sharing.
I think it's really important. And even if you're doing that with brands that you feel align with you and, there's an opportunity to collaborate with them just yet, that's just something that I would definitely suggest. But the other thing is that don't overdo it.
Yeah, so interact.
Yeah, but don't be weird. Don't be like me. Follow your gut.
Yeah, again.
Like, sometimes when you look at like Eleanor's messages, I just respond to all those stories. She doesn't respond to any of back to me. She's probably busy. But just don't overdo it.
Don't overdo it.
Crazy.
And I think interact with content that you feel like you can add value. You don't need to go comment on every single post. If they're talking about an interesting topic that you feel like you can contribute to the conversation, that's your time to shine.
Yeah.
Kind of get in the conversation. I wouldn't overdo it.
And just when the time is right, just reach out, start that conversation. Just be like, yo, let's collaborate. Maybe not that casually, guys, but think about those planning and send them a DM and say, let's start discussing this. And it also depends on who this brand or business is. Like, will they continue to want to discuss this in DMs? Do you need to take it offline to an email? Do you need to take it further? Do you need to take it to a phone call? Like, it's really important to make sure that you're also, working with a brand and communicating with them in a way that they prefer. It's their preference.
And I think as well, just something to remember is if you are sending them an email or sending them a DM, actually acknowledge the person behind the business. So acknowledge the business owner or the manager of that business. So it's not just, you're actually making it a bit more personalized, and maybe start the conversation with acknowledging something that they're doing in their business at the moment. So it just shows that you're taking interest and you're, keeping an eye on what they're doing.
For Eleanor didn't know what it meant, so I'm going to say it to everyone. IRL means in real life. So just confirming. This, I guess, is related to people that have more of a bricks and mortar store, or it's more of a product-based industry. So I like to ensure that I build that relationship in real life as well as, so if I can. I mean, obviously if they're in restrictions and whatnot, I can't go to their venues. But for me, I always like to pop into the venue or visit the store regularly and just start chatting and, ask, especially in that local space, looking at their business, looking what they're doing, thinking about if there is an opportunity to collaborate. I think it's so valuable to go in and just show your face. I think that's really important. Purchase their products or use their services. I think that's really important.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it just shows that
you're interested. Staying in touch. The amount of times I've gone to places just for a drink or an appointment, and I'm like, oh, I found you on Instagram, I follow you. They're like, oh yeah, you're her. I'm like, yeah, that's me. It's really nice, and people are so grateful that you actually like go and interact with them in real life. And or you can just ask them for a coffee. Like, I mean, I don't know how stalkery you want to be, but take your relationship to the next level. Like, take it off Instagram and into real life. I know that when I started my business, I had a lot more free time, and no, it's true. Like, you're not, you get busy. And I just wanted to connect with these people in Adelaide who I thought were doing great things for the food industry. And it was just great to connect with them, and I go for a coffee and chat. And now, like, I, you know, call a lot of them quite good friends. Like, I can reach out and ask them if I need assistance with anything, or if I need to do some further collaboration. So I think it's really important to, you know, if you can, try and take it offline as well. Makes the effort. Make the effort. So in saying that, another case study that I want to talk about is a collaboration that I worked on for one of my clients, which was Coco. So in February, so remember guys, this is like pre-COVID, like COVID was not a thing. So Coco were doing Friday lunches, and the objective we set was to increase the capacity of those Friday lunches. So we wanted more people coming into the venue on Friday at lunchtime. And what we found was a lot of people were booking in for dinners, but not so much for lunch. So a strategy we put in place was doing a long lunch with umbrella coolers. So we hosted this long lunch on a Friday, and it was like heaps of fun. So we got Umbra to come in. They had their Sophia, which is like this little van that they've got, and they do like the cocktails. It was like really cute. Cool. We promoted it really heavily on social media. We had a content strategy with the guys. We did a photo shoot. We actually booked out that Friday, which was great to see. And then the continuing weeks in February, we had a real increase in people booking in those Friday lunch spots. I guess what it did for us, it was great. Like, it was so much fun. It increased the brand awareness of Coco to a market that, like Umbra obviously being like limoncello, so people who are, you know, like that sort of food, they like Italian food, they appreciate, you know, going out for drinks and eating. It opened up that audience to Coco, and they were aware that these Friday lunches existed. People then were like, oh, this has been a great experience, I'll book again, or I'll let my friends know. And it just, I guess, snowballed into this thing where Friday lunches at Coco became a thing. Then COVID came and, you know, packed it up, which was a bit tricky, because we just, I think it was like a month or so later, it would really close down. I'd just gotten back from Bali, and then like COVID. That's cool. a bit of a nightmare. But in saying that, it would have been really interesting to see if COVID didn't happen, what happened to that Friday lunch spot. So that's, I guess, something for those hospitality venues.
And like, you know, that it worked. Like, it was awesome brand awareness for both.
It was great
and created such hype.
And they were so well aligned, and the content we got was beautiful. So that was a really great collab that I think worked really well and was successful for both businesses. So one of the final steps we talk about is discussing the plan, and sometimes that can get overlooked.
I think, which is why, like, just going back to what we were saying earlier, why it's so important for you to have a strategy and goals in mind and collaborating with the right person, because when you actually start discussing what you're going to do to collaborate, you want both parties to understand what they're responsible for, and what they need to do, what everyone involved needs to do.
Because it does take a bit of a village. Like, you know, when you are doing a collaboration, it can't all just fall on one side, like one business.
The whole point is to come together
and work on it together.
Work on it together.
So then planning out how the collaboration will be executed. So again, this depends, you know, is it a content shoot? Is it an event? Is it a product? Is it a service? What it is and how that's going to look when you execute it. And the third thing, which we think is really important, is hype it up. And that's a really good topic for an episode.
I think this is really important, because you want to have not only a collaboration strategy, but you want to have a pre-collab strategy. So you want to actually hype up the collaboration so your audience understand what you're doing, and maybe even before you announce it, do some sneak peeks.
That's what we did.
And something exciting. So just a few hype ideas. You know, Instagram stories is a great way to share sneak peeks and to give your audience a bit of an insight into what you're working on. So you could create a really fun Instagram stories plan to get people kind of excited. So I think the day that we were filming all of our videos for Lexi Punch, we kind of shared each like stage
Yeah.
of filming on our Instagram stories to give people sneak peeks as to what we were doing.
And people really enjoyed it. Like we got so
It was really
many,
fun.
we got so many engagements from that. 'Cause people were like, what are you two doing? Like, people didn't really know, people knew we knew each other, but they were like, oh, what are you guys working on?
Yeah.
And it just, people were excited or like, not confused,
just
like
curious.
I think that's the best word.
And interested, especially because we didn't give too much away, but we just shared some key sneak peeks. So we shared, you know, us getting our hair blow dried or getting a coffee before filming, and then, you know, while we were filming, and then that night we actually came out with the announcement post that we were coming together to create Lexi Punch. And
I think we came out with something being like, guess what we're working on?
Actually, yeah, we did a post to say something's coming.
Yeah.
And then a week later, that's when we
did the filming post. And then we did the announcement. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of our hype.
And we saw like the results from that. So we had so many people in our community sharing the fact that we were coming together. It's one of my most engaging posts.
Yeah.
I've got to do more posts. People loved it and it was so good. And then we saw the results in like our first video and how many views it got compared to our, you know, following videos, which just, you know, makes us really see that power of hyping it up and having a whole strategy behind it and getting people excited but also curious for a collaboration. It was just such a great way of doing it.
Yeah, I think because it was interesting as well, because we're both working in the social space, we have our own businesses, but we were coming together to present something, you know, to a bigger audience and community. So people really liked it and we got a really great response.
We did. We're very lucky from that. But yeah, a few other things. I can't see because the lights in my way, guys, sorry. You could do like an IG story countdown if you're counting down to something. That's always something really good, and people can turn that on so they can get the notification when you're about to do it. And then ask members of your community to share the content. Like there's nothing wrong with going out to people that are complimenting your business and be like, hey, like I'm doing this collaboration with XYZ, can you please share it?
Yeah.
Get your audience involved, maybe do a competition.
Yeah, that's a great way, especially if you're like, you want to create content around engaging and, you know, including your audience to encourage comments on your post and shares and stuff like that. So think about ways that you can actually get your audience involved in the process. Maybe, you know, create something that they can share on their Instagram stories or something like that. Is that the next one?
Yeah.
Cool.
And the final thing I recommend looking over is evaluating those results. So that's something we spoke about earlier, and something that I think for us, we tend to look at this kind of stuff probably once a month. We'll go over and kind of go through our objectives and see what's coming for the next couple of months or weeks. But I think the first thing is decide how effectively those objectives were met. So if we did a video and no one watched it, we'd be like, okay, let's not do this again. But lucky for us, people enjoy watching us. So I think we saw that our objective was met quite strongly. And I guess our objective was just to come together and talk about mindfulness around social media, and it's just evolved so organically.
Yeah.
And then I guess discussing if there is potential for another collaboration. So, you know, are you going to continue collaborating in the same way? Are you going to do something else? Are you going to maybe do it differently, or are you going to like adjust certain things, like see what that was like? I think for businesses in the service or product industry, like understand if there was a monetary gain or loss. Like that's something really important. I'm very bad with numbers, but I'm not that good with numbers. But I have come from larger brands, as you would know, and it's always like, okay, how much money is that going to cost us? A lot of the time when I look at collaborations, especially for my clients, I look at, okay, they've all got brick and mortar stores. So for them to do a collaboration, I've got to look at how much money are they going to lose by doing that, or how much money are they going to gain? And at the end of it, is the brand awareness, or if they're going to not make any money, is the brand awareness worth that loss in income, or is it not? And I think that's something that sometimes small businesses have to really consider, because it could be a great collaboration, but if you've done it and you've had a monetary loss,
I think you have
it might not be the best thing for you.
You have to be realistic and look into those things.
You have to, and especially when you've got like products on the line, or if you're a venue, or if you're at capacity and this is just throwing you over the edge.
Because depending on how you collaborate, you might actually be putting out a lot of money as well.
Yeah, you just never know.
So if it's going to be a consistent thing, you have to look at, you know, if you're actually making some kind of profit from it, and also looking at your insights on social media. So looking at how your account was affected during the time of the collaboration. So looking at, you know, your engagement levels, looking at your account growth, just looking at what content as well, you know,
what worked and what didn't work. And I
performed
think
really well.
it's a good way of seeing, like, if this collaboration, if your social media audience enjoyed it or not. Like, it could have been really great in your venue or for your product. Like, you might have gotten heaps of sales, but did your social media audience enjoy that?
Yeah.
You know, look at that.
And it's all learning as well.
Of course.
Like, things aren't always going to go to plan. You know,
They never do, babe.
Yeah. We know that, but you need to give it a crack. Like, don't be hard on yourself if it, you know, your account didn't really go where you wanted it to go, or, you know, there's always going to be bumps in the road. There's always going to be things that are going to come up. So just kind of embrace the process.
So here are some collaboration ideas. Maybe we can swing back down and look at, like, some of the industries that people are in. Is that right?
Yeah.
Because then we can sort of make it a little bit more.
Have a bit of a brainstorm.
Yeah.
Depending on the industries.
Oh.
Yes, back up.
Ooh. Oh. What? Oh.
Do you want some more water?
Yes, please, doll. A bit cold in here.
Okay, so maybe from Just Finder and Unicorn Act One Services, we've got Jason, who's the owner of a video production company,
Hi.
Digital, based in Prospect.
Lessons, education.
Leanne from Rider Bike.
Anna. Anna was in Bali.
Melinda, who's from Smash and Grab, which is a smash cake business.
Yeah.
Alice from Something Wild.
Finance Solutions.
It's Vince from Allegra Financial Solutions.
We can probably start going through some and then
just
bounce ideas. Because a lot of the ideas will be relevant to everyone. And if you have any questions about how they can work specifically to you, maybe let us know as well. We can talk about it in the questions if we have time.
Yeah, let's go back.
Okay, so I think the first one we had was IGTV series.
Just like us.
Which
yes, we're so far away because social distancing.
Social distancing. But the good thing about doing something like an IGTV series is it gets you on camera. And I think that's why we wanted to do it initially as well, because we wanted to start doing video content and we wanted people to get to know us.
And I guess the thing with an IGTV series is it's just like a TV series, like YouTube. Like, if you don't want to venture out to YouTube for video content, you can just house it in your IGTV series, and people who are interested in it will seek it out and they'll find it.
It'll just sit on your Instagram page, and I like the idea of doing a series because it's a bit more fun and you can create themes around it. So depending on what you've got going on in your business, you can create a series around, you know, certain promotions or challenges or new products or services that you're offering. So it's also a good way for you to get your team on camera as well, if they're comfortable with that, because like I said, people like to see the people behind the business. So if you're actually talking to the camera and, you know, exposing your team, it's a really good way for your audience and people who come across your profile to see who's involved in the business.
Yeah. An IG story takeover, which has always been so fun.
This is so fun because it gives, I think your audience just doesn't know what's going on at the start because they just see someone different.
Yeah.
They're just like, what's going on?
We should do that for like a week.
I think we did. We
did one post. We did one.
Part of our like hype up.
Yeah, we didn't say that.
Story strategy. We actually jumped on each other's stories.
It was really nice.
And I think it was like a Sunday morning at 9 o'clock and a lot of
our friends were like, what's happening?
What's going on? But it was funny. Like it was just something interesting, and it kind of like
different.
Woke up our audience as well.
And they're like, oh, these guys are super connected. That's always really fun. Like I did when I used to work at the Central Market, I did a trader like takeover. So every Thursday I'd have a different trader take over the stories. And it was a really good way of like
cool.
getting down and dirty into someone else's business and showing it to like a larger audience. So that's something you could always work on with a business that's potentially larger than yours or smaller than yours. It's really nice.
Something I like as well, similar to the story takeover, is doing like a day in the life content.
Yeah, we should do that. That would be fun.
That would be fun.
I think just be me watching Sopranos.
I think people I think it's funny because especially if you start it from like, you know, the minute you wake up, if you're
that's good content. That's so funny.
Yeah, like your alarm going off and, you know, getting ready for work. And then once you get to work and like what your day looks like, I think that's another really cool way for your audience to see people behind the business. And it shows a bit of brand personality as well.
Absolutely. Complementing products and packages. So that I look at, you know, working with, you know, two brands that can get their product or together to create a certain package or create something bespoke for both their followers. So I'm trying to think of a food example because that's probably my favorite, but I'm stumped at the moment. For example, let's say someone in the market, like there are two traders together and one of them is using the other one's meat for a pizza, and then that pizza is named after that, you know, trader that supplied the meat, something like that, like creating something bespoke that encompasses both the businesses.
Special that represents both of them.
Yeah, and then that also then allows people to recognize what products they're enjoying, and when it comes to packages, like, you know, maybe like a florist works with a coffee shop, and, you know, if you buy a certain bunch of flowers or you get some flowers delivered, they also get a coffee. That's a great business idea.
Yeah, that is. I was just thinking that.
Yeah. Should we just like pack it up?
Not at the moment. We don't have time right now.
I would love that. If someone delivered me flowers and coffee, I would be all about that.
That's cool.
Someone do it. Seriously. Okay.
Another thing you can do is a content shoot to create awareness, or if you want to create a campaign with the business that you're collaborating with. I think a content shoot is really fun and exciting as long as it's executed properly. I would get like a professional photographer or videographer on board and create content to represent the message that you're trying to get across, or align it with, you know, something that's happening during that time of year or within your business that actually makes a bigger impact. So having that professional content shared on your profile is a really great, I think it makes, you know, a statement.
Absolutely. And I think it's also a great way of getting a couple of businesses to come together in the same industry. So like we spoke about, like, you know, a hairstylist, a nail technician, a makeup artist, maybe like a fashion stylist, all coming together to create some beautiful content. There's 4 businesses you've sort of already collaborated with. There's 4 different audiences you're connecting with. Then there's also like heaps of things you can do to hype up that shoot. You can have heaps of content through the shoot, and then you've got the finished product of what the shoot created. You know, that's something you could potentially do seasonally or, you know, monthly. And it's just a great way of, you know, benefits everybody.
Yeah. And
even the photographer as well. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. And if you have, you know, about 4 or 5 people involved, that's content for everyone.
Yeah.
So everyone gets to share that content and it just extends your reach.
It's like a snowball. On that though, then like seasonal event promos. So, you know, like Mother's Day, Father's Day coming up. What's the next thing? We've got Halloween. Coming.
Halloween,
Christmas.
Yeah, next week it's, well, I think this weekend it's Mental Health
Week.
Mental health awareness. And then, yeah, I think as we approach November, it's like crazy time. Christmas. And then, yeah.
So it's like thinking of things that you could do with other businesses that might assist your business seasonal.
Well, I think the collab ideas were all on that last slide.
Yeah.
So that kind of brought us to this next section, which was just questions. If you guys have any questions that you want to shoot through on any of those topics.
Okay, so we got Miko Santos. I've got a podcast network and got a podcast management service. How will a collab help me?
Well, that's answer live.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, so they can hear me.
Yeah, everyone can hear. So
sorry, just waiting for you to do that.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
That is so exciting. I would love to connect with you outside of this chat. With the podcast network and podcast management service, there's so many ways you can collaborate.
That's really exciting.
You know, potentially what I would be doing and be looking at themes for months or for seasons, and then getting speakers on board and working with speakers that adhere to these themes each week or each month. You could also collaborate with potentially like a videographer or a photographer to get some content that's live for your socials when people are doing podcasts and what podcasting looks like. The other thing you could do is work with maybe like an educator to educate people on like how to podcast and where podcasting would work and benefit their business in the best way.
I think it's such a big thing at the moment. A lot of
huge.
people are interested in learning about, you know, how to podcast and how that process works. So if you're actually investing in, you know, professional content to put out there and create different themes, I think people would, you know, naturally, organically come to you. But yeah, like Gala said, having themes will help you target the right people to come onto the podcast as well.
Even working with maybe someone who is like a voice coach, and coming together to do an event on voice, like how to speak on a podcast and what a voice coach does and how that helps you in podcasting. I think that would help you. Does that answer your question, Nico? Oh, we've got some more questions coming through. Yeah, Nico said that's great. I think that, I think the voice coaching one's a really good tip as well. I'm full of tips. I might read that out loud just so everyone heard that. So that was from Anna. How do you determine the value of an influencer? For example, how do you work out their value versus what you are either paying or gifting in exchange for exposure? I like how you've got exposure in inverted commas there, Anna, because I think a lot of the time, a lot of these, again, inverted comma influencers get away with asking for things for exposure. What I would be looking at is what are their insights like. I would also be ensuring that potentially there's a way that you can link back to what that exposure did. So if you're giving them a product, giving them potentially a code or a swipe up like link. So you can do that through Bitly, where you create a link that you can track, and then that link will go into their content, and you know that you've had X amount of people click on that link to get to your product or service for exposure. You'll be able to garner if there actually were a great lead for you. The other thing is looking at your objective. So if your product is a low cost item to you, but you know, this influencer's got like the perfect target market, you know, maybe you could gift them the product, and then you know you haven't made a loss because you're getting that awareness to your perfect demographic. Whilst if someone who, you know, it's got nothing to do with your brand and they've just got this massive following, like what's the point?
I think something else you can do is actually ask that influencer if they have like a media kit that presents all of those analytics as well, to actually look at their engagement, look at things that you won't be able to see for yourself, and looking at other people that they've collaborated with, and maybe, you know, have a look at how that kind of turned out. And going back to what we were saying earlier about following your gut,
follow your gut
as
Anna.
well. If you think it's a good fit, sometimes you just have to, you know, take that risk.
The other thing back to, you know, following your gut, when I've worked with influencers before, is you can, you know, the proof is in the pudding. So, you know, if you're working with an influencer and they're like, hey, want a collab? And then you're like, yeah, sure, which you probably won't do that. But if they're like not responding to emails, or they don't have like an email signature, or they're, you know, they're really hard to get in touch with, or they don't promote your product, you know that they're not the real deal. I've worked with some fantastic influencers who are just all over it. They're so responsive, they're so grateful, they're so courteous, they're so professional. And you know the ones, you can tell in their content, you can tell with the brands they're working with, which influencers are like that and which ones aren't like that. So I hope that helps you. Yeah, do your research.
That's good. I've heard of other people using codes and then using cashback and things like that, paying them based on click-throughs and things like that. So people have to back themselves a little bit more as well. That it's not just exposure, it's, you know, let's see some effort on this.
Yeah, and the analytics, I think that's so important, like looking at that, you know, the insights that actually mean something to your brand. Like, are people saving the post? Are people engaging? What are they doing?
Okay, so the next one we've got Vince wanted to know what would be a particular way that a client service industry such as finance can engage on socials without being generic, like all other brands currently seem to be, and what would be some additional service industries that aren't usually within our sphere that would collaborate well, brackets, not the usual real estate, solicitor, financial planning, accountant, etc., for someone in the finance industry.
So someone in the finance industry, I know you said you don't want to collaborate with the usual real estate, solicitor, financial planner, accountant, et cetera, but you've got to look at who you're targeting. And I think that boils down that if you're in the finance industry, are you niching into one sort of finance? So if you are working with people who are looking to buy their first home, or are looking for commercial backing, or if they're looking to get a loan for a business, work with people who target that audience. Something different, I think
it's your approach. It's the type of content that you're actually putting out there. So just being different to what other finance businesses are doing, have a really strong content strategy that shows that, you know, you're different from the rest, or to help you stand out from what other people are doing.
And I think education plays a big part in, you know, I've had a finance client before, and it's all about education, because people that outside of real estate, solicitor, financial planner, accountant, they don't really know much about these things and what to do. So it's all about educating them on how to best understand what service you're offering and who's going to help them.
I mean, you could even, if you were someone who was doing first homeowners grants and you were, if you were financed for first home, what are additional products that people buying their first home would look at?
Interior design.
Right. So, you know, if you were looking to design your first house and buy one off the plan or something like that, there'd be a whole range of other businesses outside of your usual sphere.
And just thinking outside the square and thinking about what your audience would want to know about.
All right. Well, that might be it. Okay. Well, thanks a lot, guys. And
Thanks, guys. It was lovely.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, Miko. It was really nice chatting to you.
Thank you for joining us for tonight's webinar, Collab with Your Gut, with Dallas and Eleanor from Lexi Punch. Please make sure you follow them on Instagram. Our next webinar will be with Greg from Branded Culture. He'll be presenting Why Brand is Everyone's Business on the 4th of November. Please book in through the Network Prospect website. Thanks again for joining us and have a good evening. Bye.